Welcome to This Could Have Been a Podcast. I am Clarisse, and I started this because so many of the conversations I've had felt too good not to share. They could have totally been a podcast. Here I sit down with people I've met along the way, people I've connected with through deep talks, unexpected moments, or just pure curiosity. We talk about our journeys, relationships, projects, passions, and the big questions we all quietly carry. It's a space to empty the mind, reflect, and hopefully connect with yourself, with others, or just with a thought that sticks. And even if one sentence resonates with you, then that's already more than enough. Thank you for listening and welcome.
I can Easter.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 5th episode of This Could Have Been a Podcast. I am your host, Clarisse, and today we're receiving Michelle. She is the founder and CEO of ACT, a Berlin-based creative agency that focuses mostly on progressive and culture-driven communication. Michelle is originally from Stockholm, Sweden, and here we are today, reunited to talk about anxiety. Anxiety as a broad subject, but also and more specifically on how to deal with anxiety as a CEO. I believe it's a subject that we talk about more and more nowadays, something you probably relate to, something you're probably dealing with, or maybe you know someone who is dealing with anxiety. And it just felt right to talk about this today. I want to say sorry in advance if there is any trigger. Feel free to skip those parts. I hope we made it easy for you. And yeah, thank you for listening. Okay, so for people who don't know you yet, can you give us a little introduction of yourself, please?
Of course. But I'm Michelle, and I'm currently running a communication agency called ACT since almost 1 year anniversary.
When is the 1 year anniversary?
Actually, I don't know. I should check that. It's like
I think it was. I know
it was in La Palmilla.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when we launched. I
Yeah.
can find also the article when it went live, actually.
Yeah.
But in October. No, was it in September?
September.
Oh,
It's
so
this
it's really a year. Okay. I'm Michelle. I'm running a communication agency called ACT. We are focusing a lot on next generation communication. So fancy.
so nice.
And as you said before, you and I connected a lot through anxiety, which is one of the reasons I'm here today also to talk about. One of my favorite subjects, like hate-love subject.
Really?
Yeah, because it's hits hard at
Yeah.
home, but also I've been having anxiety since I was a kid.
Mhm.
So it's influenced a lot of my life,
Mhm.
including career, as we talked a bit about. But what else? Yeah, I live in Berlin. I'm plus 30 plus. Oh my God, I cannot. I have an adopted dog from Georgia that I spontaneously adopted because of anxiety for the stray dogs. Lol. And yeah, what else? What is fun to know?
That's already very good. I mean, we're gonna get to know you anyway throughout the
Yeah.
episode, I would say. I think we can start by asking you what kind of kid you were growing up, because you said like your anxiety has been here since you were a kid.
Yeah.
So maybe that's interesting to know. Maybe that will give you some insights of like how you grew up and what was your upbringing, and
Yeah.
whatever you feel comfortable sharing, of course.
Thank you. I'm an oversharer, so probably that's gonna show. Lol. I grew up in Sweden. Where I'm from Stockholm. For those who doesn't know, and I actually, yeah, this is a good question. But my parents were together until I was 8 years old.
Same.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, we talked about this
Mhm.
actually. Oh, and then they got divorced.
Yeah.
And then they found new partners, and then they found new partners, and
Yeah.
new partners, and new
Yeah.
partners. And again and again. And I think, like in retrospect, when they got divorced, that's kind of when my anxiety started. I don't know, like if that's completely accurate in timing, but at least as long as I can almost remember, I've been quite anxious.
Mhm.
Even like no, actually, even before that, I have had phobias, anxiety, panic attacks, everything around anxiety since I was a kid.
Uncertainty that was making you feel this way, or
I don't know. Like, I think until I was 8, I had quite a like calm childhood. I don't remember necessarily like how they raised me. I don't know this. No, I remember I have quite a good memory from my like early childhood. I mean, yeah, or I can't recall so much, honestly. I just remember that like, yeah, we're having quite a small family, lived in like quite a calm neighborhood in Stockholm. Oh, not actually. No, we did not live in a calm neighborhood. We lived actually in the suburb with a lot of drama.
same.
Yeah. So I don't know why I said calm neighborhood. It's just because it was like these.
You want to
How-
sell yourself?
Yeah, like, like
Very
wait a
French.
minute, this is not true. But something, I don't know, happened, I think, when they got divorced. Like, new partners came in.
That was like fast.
Yeah, like everything changed overnight. And I mean, I know a lot of kids go through separation and stuff, but it was not the smoothest separation. And I just remember I started having this like, how do you say in English? Like prestate? No, when you when you want to perform, like performative anxiety.
Yeah.
Is that the word in English?
I think so.
Yeah, I had a performative anxiety since I was very young. Like since, like I always felt like I had to be the best at everything.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not only competitive, but I felt like my worth was connected to how I performed. And I know this is like, we have an expression for this in Swedish called duktig flicka syndrome. It's being a good girl syndrome, kind of like being, you always want to have the best grades. You want to be like top athlete, you know, this kind of like to prove yourself that you have a worth kind of. And I was like the poster girl for this when I was a kid.
I think it also keeps you in control in so many ways.
Yeah.
When you cannot control what's happening at home, at least you know there's something good happening at school.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. I think that's very accurate. And when they got divorced, I mean, my mom took a lot of responsibility. So she was basically raising us. Not, we were living like every other week, but they had very different parenting styles. So I think this also made my upbringing very scattered. Like I became like the product of two completely different households. So my mom, like she was like having a lot of rules. She was very structured. She was very organized, and she also was the one who provided us with everything we needed. Like we needed a new jacket, she made sure we had that, you know, all of that. And then on my dad's side, he was like, freedom under responsibility. As long as you do your job, I don't care what you do. I could do anything I wanted. I was just free, and it was messy as fuck. And at my dad's place, I was annoyed that it was so messy, but I was still like really preferring this because I always hated when people told me what to do. I have really problems with authorities. And then at my mom's place, we fought so much.
Yeah,
because she had so many rules, and I got crazy. I was like, don't tell me what to do. I'm doing well, you know. But so this scattered reality, also like with money, everything, they were completely different. My dad, the biggest spender, took loans, credit. Really? The same? No way. Oh my God. Is my mother your mother? And my mom was like, didn't spend a dime on anything that wasn't necessary. And it was like very different. And neither of them comes from money necessarily. But for some reason, they had extremely different ways of operating.
That probably also, because I would say that's probably what happened in mine, but that's what get them to break up.
Yeah, I think so too. And in the end, I cannot imagine them being together. I cannot. They are literally night and day on every single aspect, even like opinions, values, how they communicate, how they want to live their lives. Like, very few things in common. I don't understand. Maybe that was like opposite attracts from the beginning, but as you said, also then opposite then break up.
I mean, you for sure, especially when you're young, I mean, I don't know, my parent met young, for example, and I think you have fun.
Yeah.
And then when
yeah.
responsibility came in, that's when you're like, oh, maybe we should have talked about those important things at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you shouldn't compromise on like values or certain things sometimes.
Yeah, I
Right.
totally think so too. And it was like, since we're gonna talk a bit about like
Mhm.
work, career, and
Yeah.
anxiety, etc. I mean, they never ever pressured me on anything.
Yeah.
Like, how did I say that? Performing wise.
Yeah.
Never. Like they
They
were
didn't care
all
about your grades.
no, like they were really like, as long as you are okay, you know, or like you pass, it's good enough. They never ever put any pressure on me. So they were just like, yeah, you have to pass school so that you can get a
Yeah.
job. Like,
Yeah.
no pressure at all from their side. So all pressure was on me. And I remember from early, like I could go to school and throw up on my way to school because I was so stressed that I had to go there and perform. So I was like getting this really like physical, how do you say, physical reactions
Yeah, yeah.
to the stress and anxiety from very, very early. I've always been extremely adaptable because I think of all of the changes that
Yeah.
happened quite early. But maybe, as you said, one of the reasons why I was like so performative was because that was the only thing I could control, kind of. Was like, no matter where I am, which school, which location, what I can control is like an outcome of something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like kind of summary of my upbringing, I think. I don't know.
I loved it. I have a full picture in my head and a full vision of what it looked like.
This crazy
Chaos.
Yeah, it was a lot of chaos, and
No, but
also
I think you like, I mean, it would bring us to today and like your journey, but I think in a lot of ways this prepared you to the amazing person you're today, and like that push you to probably do what you do now, you know? And I mean, whatever our bringing were, or like how we grew up, I think at some point we shifted into, okay, how am I going to make this turn
Yeah.
into my advantage, and like how I'm going to use it in the best way to create the life that I want,
Yeah.
which sometimes happen later, sometimes happen fast.
Yeah. True.
And we're still dealing with a lot of stuff from like there and
Yeah.
then
Oh my
anyway,
God.
so
Crazy. And I mean, I haven't talked about this subject in so long, like about my anxiety since I was a kid. So it's actually, I'm like, oh, wait. Yeah, right. That's true. Because I'm like, I mean, I'm still a very anxious person, lol, but in a very different ways.
actually we can start talking about the anxiety before we talk about your journey now. So
Yeah.
that would make maybe more sense if we like gradually, because I was about to ask you when you first noticed your anxiety, but you said early on. And do you remember how it manifested, or like how, if you had to go in a bit more in depth on this, for example?
I think the first time I had like severe anxiety or fear, the first time I think it started from fear, I guess. I mean, they're very related, was when I was 4 years old. But that was because of don't know if I told you this, but you know, I'm a phobic also. I have a lot of phobias, which also comes from anxiety, or it's like a part of anxiety tree at least. And it's the first time I really remember being so fearful was when I fell on an airport, like super not connected to what I just talked about before, but I fell on an airport and hit my shin.
That's why you have it.
Yeah, I have the scar there. Exactly. And my dad had to take me to the hospital, and it was in Spain, and they had at that time, I guess, another culture, so the parent wasn't allowed to go in with you in the
Hospital
in the room, exactly. So they just took me from my dad. I was 4. They didn't speak, of course, didn't speak Swedish, and I was panicking. And it's very like it's a lot of blood coming when you hit your
I think chin
and eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not great for the amount. And I panicked so much that they had to hold me. So there was like 3 doctors. I really remember this very clearly. I remember the room and everything, which is crazy. It was so long ago. So one held my legs, one held my arms, and one held my head and soothed my shin. And this is my first real memory of like brutal fear and anxiety, which is like, I mean, my other part of anxiety is more like general or like how do you say, like not
Generalized.
generalized,
I don't know,
exactly.
but yeah.
But that's my like first true memory.
So now you would say you have a fear of like falling?
No, I mean,
Airport
I
or
have a hospital
okay.
hospital
I was like,
phobia.
which one is it?
Exactly, which one is it? Airports are okay, but falling, I would not lie. So I that was my first phobia where it started.
Mhm.
And then when you are phobic, there's also a high probability that you start to get more phobias, and the phobias can also turn into a general anxiety.
Mhm.
I don't think that's necessarily the reason why I have general anxiety as well, but because
You think it might be led to other.
yeah, at least my therapist said that they can be connected somehow.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, both of them has abandonment or at least separation
mm,
in those, you know.
yeah, exactly. And then my like more general anxiety experience was very much connected to performative anxiety.
Yeah.
So I felt like my worth was really on the line when I had to perform. So I was
Yeah.
like, I could cry immensely if ahead of a test, for example,
Yeah.
because I was so stressed to fail.
Mhm.
That and my parents was like, but it's okay. And
It's
I
crazy
wasn't.
that your parents was
Yeah,
reinforcing the idea that it's okay.
yeah. No, I could not accept it. I was so harsh on myself, and I was not even like I want to do good. I was like I want to be the best student that
Yeah.
has ever touched the ground.
Yeah.
I was like I want to be skipping classes. Like I was having this insane pressure on myself for no reason,
Do
and
you-
it was completely driven by anxiety. I really had a feeling that if I'm not, it's like it was like life or death
Yeah.
feeling, you
Yeah.
know. So which is crazy because I don't know exactly where it came from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Must be horrible to feel this way every time and to.
Yeah, and very, very early. I was like really maybe I'm from when I was around 8, maybe.
I wonder
I
if
started feeling this.
in many ways, because I wonder about how I felt back in the day as well. But like if the way we admire our parents,
Mm.
like then make us trust them or not on what they're saying. You know, like if you don't want to be like your parents, or you won't want to repeat a cycle, or you don't want to do the same mistake,
Mm.
then are you going to believe that if they say it's okay, it's okay? Or are you
True.
gonna want
Yeah.
to go the other route
Mm.
and be like, no, you
That's
don't know what you're talking about.
that's also very true. Yeah, because like yeah, that's a very interesting point because my I told you my mom and dad was struggling quite a lot when I was younger with different things like financial issues, and also I mean that was one of the main issues
Yeah.
in my family,
Yeah.
and the main thing that my mom and dad always
Yeah.
was fighting about, especially when they got divorced. It was always talk about money and different perspective about money, and it really I think you're having a really good point. And I was like, I don't want to be in that
Yeah.
situation. I don't want to fight with someone over money. And that also like mirrors a lot how I'm reviewing money today.
Yeah. I think I relate to that so much
yeah,
as well.
yeah. And also, as you said, maybe like not necessarily that I don't want to. I admire a lot from both of my parents, but I wanted to be in a situation where I didn't have to worry that
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
which I'm not in yet.
We can also plan the decor a bit of what you're doing now. So
Mhm.
because you're running your own agency now, and
Mhm.
I want to know what does it feel like to you. You can also explain what you do
Mm.
a bit, but also how it feels like in
Mm.
general.
Mm.
Just
Yeah. Yeah. So as I might mention earlier, I am running this communication agency, and I'm not only like as you refer to now the CEO. I have like almost every role you can have in any company.
how many
Because
jobs do you think you're doing right now?
I think 8 people or something, which is like fun but very overwhelming at times. Um, but I feel like it's a lot of anxiety, of course. I
Mhm.
mean, especially the financial anxiety is
Mhm.
like hitting hard. Speaking of money before, because I mean, I put myself in a situation where I saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or saved a lot of money. I never had a savings account in my life, by the way,
Mhm.
before. But then I was able to flip a couple of apartments because, yeah, my mom met a guy who could then lend me like a mini amount of money so I could buy a first apartment where I was owning maybe 5% of the apartment.
Okay.
So, but then I flipped the apartment and I earned some money, and then I did that 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
So good.
yeah, and I never thought in my life, because I don't come from money, as I told
Mhm.
you, that I was be able to even own an apartment.
How did you thought about like this, like selling, and like how did it come up? Like, did you learn from someone, or did you just?
It was because actually mostly because in Stockholm, it's almost impossible to rent. So I was like moving so much because you just sublet, and it's these like insanely expensive contracts that you have for like a few months, quite similar actually to, not so similar to Berlin because you rent here more than you own, but in Stockholm it's like very common to own.
I think in Finland too, it's common to.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's just like a natural step kind
Yeah.
of. But then, of course, I mean, as I said, I never had a savings account in my entire life, never had money. So I was like seeing it as an investment. So,
Mhm.
like, okay, I need to be able to make money. And at the same time, I started freelancing. Not the same time, like in the end, my last apartment, I started also consulting where I could invoice quite a good amount.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first time in my life, I could put money aside. And then when I moved to Berlin, I sold my last apartment. So all of a sudden, for the first time, I had a savings.
Mm-hmm.
So I could take a risk for the first time as well, because I've never been able to like just start a company without the security.
You were working in a corporate job before? Like, how was your?
Yeah, before I started the company, I worked in as a consultant at Samsung.
Okay, so you were still like, you were a freelancer then.
I was a freelancer in
Okay.
Samsung. Yeah.
You started your like life career as a freelancer to begin with. You've never been in a corporation 9 to 5.
Oh yeah. Okay, I have a long resume.
And we can go through it
Yeah,
fast, but if you
yeah, I can go through it fast. I started in an agency, so a corporate job.
Yeah.
For almost 5 years.
Okay.
And then I moved to Berlin first time.
Mhm.
Worked at another agency for like maybe.
So you quit that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And I moved to Berlin for another agency. And then I got a job back in Stockholm. Also it was like in a scale up company,
Mhm.
like home appliance brand, where I worked in their global PR and communication department, or I started that department. And then I quit my job there on the day. Actually, it was with Cami. No, was Cami there? Wait,
In Stockholm.
no, it was
In Berlin.
Wait, who was I with? I thought it was with Cami. I was at La Maison
Mhm.
and drinking Aperol Spritz, and I called and quit. Amazing, without a plan, which was like so stupid, but also the best thing I've done, because the day after Samsung called and asked me like, we see that you have a great job, like how do you say, like a permanent position, but would you be open for a consultant gig? And I was like,
Crazy how
no
it
way.
works.
I was like, no way. I quit yesterday. And they're like, what? No way. And I was like, this is not happening. You know, it was because the day after I quit, I was like, what the fuck did I do? Because I quit because I wanted to pursue my own path.
Yeah.
But at that time, when I did that, I didn't have any savings. I literally did not have a single dime on my account. So I don't know what I was thinking, but sometimes, you know, we talked about before, like intuition versus anxiety.
You just felt it.
I don't know. I think I just felt it. I was like, I need to quit now. I need to pursue my dreams. It's going to work.
And you didn't like overthink it or
No.
looping in fear.
This is also interesting, actually, when you say that, because I'm like, I can be such an overthinker. But for some reason, with career and stuff, I'm a very spontaneous person. Like, I take very many risks.
That's probably what led you to.
Yeah, I think so too. Because same thing with the first agency when I moved to Berlin. I also just quit because I was like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna do something else.
That's so good.
And then I went to Berlin, and it was amazing for me to move here. And from Berlin, that was maybe not as big of a risk, but I didn't want to move back to Stockholm. But then I got this job, and I was like, maybe I should just take the risk of moving back, even if I mean, I didn't exactly want to move back, but I just felt like I have to do this kind of.
Yeah.
And I mean, for my career, it was like a really important step. And if I didn't take that step, I wouldn't also be where I am today.
That was very random that Samsung called you. Like you.
Yeah, and then that I quit from my previous job, and the Samsung calling me the day after was just like, what the hell? It was really universe responding to this action.
That's like exactly what we talked about earlier, but I think it's like trusting that there is something that has your back. Could be you, could be your own like ability to do life, but you're gonna, land back on your feet if you just trust and let go.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if I would recommend someone to do the same, but at the same time, I mean, I'm super happy of all of the choices I made to this point, because, I mean, as you said, universe had my back somehow. Even if now, I mean, I'm in distress. I am anxious. I am fighting against those demons, but I'm anyway still happy every day that I took this decisions I did.
Yeah.
Because I know where I want to go. So I'm like, and this is a step towards that route, kind of.
Completely.
Yeah.
But then you quit Samsung.
And then I quit Samsung. Again, quite abrupt. And then I also always knew, I mean, I was already a freelancer, like a consultant, but I knew I wanted to do something bigger than that. So I was always like, okay, as long as I'm a freelancer or I'm a consultant, I can only do, I am only limited to my own hours.
Yeah.
So I can never scale a business from this. I can only just fill my hours more and more and more. And at some point I'm going to break. And also I'm only selling myself as a brand, kind of. I mean, that is what I've been doing my entire career. But I was like, I want to sell something that is like, it's me, but it's also excluded from me, my personal name. So that's when ACT came to life. And you were also there working with even the logotype in panic.
That was the energy in the room.
Oh my God. But also, honestly, talking about anxiety, because I quit Samsung and I jumped on another project, which was a horror project. And I knew that I had the intuition from day one, this is not gonna be good. But I was like, I have to pursue it because I knew that I wanted to do this path. I was like, if I do this, I'm gonna be able to pay myself a salary for like at least 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be able then to create this like agency instead. And the company that I worked for didn't pay me in the end, and they actually fucked a lot of people over. And that was when we went to La Palmira. That I found out, kind of.
I mean, fully. And I was like,
and I was so, the panic I got that then was like, because I had planned to organize like a company, like good start, like setting up this nice framework, prepping contacts and my network, and starting pre-selling before launching. I didn't have a name, I didn't have a website, I didn't have anything. I was just starting to I mean, I had, like, of course, in the back of my head, I've been thinking about this for years, and like kind of starting prepping on the side. But I was really planning to use that fall with the money I was gonna own from the gig the horror gig. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm not gonna get paid. And so from now on, I need to take money, thank God, from the savings I had, which I never had in my life. Like, imagine if I also didn't have those.
Yeah.
So then I don't know what I would have done, honestly. So even if it sucks so bad that to take money from something you worked your entire life for. But also I was like, I have to do this, you know? So, I mean, it's still a risk I'm taking since then, because it's like, it's taking longer than I thought to build this. And, but at that time, then I was like, okay, I cannot prepare. I cannot do this perfectly. I just have to fucking go.
Yeah.
So then when we were in France, as you know, I was a fucking mess.
In a house.
In a house. It was raining.
Everyone was working.
Oh my God. And I was like, guys, I need a name. We need to brainstorm. You were working, then you were working on the logotype. Already then, me and Katja started working together, because which started actually as like a service exchange, which now is like a really nice partnership.
She also quit. Like,
yeah, it's insane. Like
It's beautiful that she believed also in this, and
yeah, I'm
she
so
jumped
happy.
in, and
Yeah.
that you guys have this at least. You have
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for this, honestly. This also helps anxiety. I mean, you have someone to share the anxiety with at least.
Yeah.
But it really started with just like, okay, I'm gonna help her with one thing, and she's gonna help me with like the visual branding, etc. But then, yeah, as you know, now it's a very nice partnership. But then all of a sudden, I had to basically create a company in like 1 week.
Yeah. That was insane. It was like
It was a fucking shit show, honestly. Like, but I think also speaking of universe, I think that was good
yeah,
because I
it
can
forced
also,
you
it forced me because I can also be
to
a
speed up.
perfectionist to like the core
Yeah.
because of my anxiety.
Yeah.
And that's why also I've been a high achiever.
Mhm.
I've had always, as I told you, I was always like, if I do something, I'm gonna fucking kill it. You know, I had this mentality since I was a fucking child.
Mhm.
So thinking of it, even if at that time it was one of the most stressful weeks of my life because, and I'm still like stressed since, but I think it was good that it pushed me to like, you cannot work with perfectionism now. Like you just have to, you just have to take decisions and it has to go fast, and
And
you can change it later.
Exactly.
Like this. And I think that was a really good learning, and especially for anxiety people, like high achieving people that wants to just do everything perfectly. You just have to trial and error sometimes.
And the fact that I think it's the best advice that you just like, you just you just have to do it.
Yeah.
And you can fix it later.
I swear to
This is
God.
something we forget sometimes.
I swear, because I also heard this so many times, but like for example, also in marketing, like there was someone who told me once, like the only thing that matters in the end is what's actually ending up in the consumer's eye. And like everything before, the strategy can look perfect, but no one is ever going to see it. So like, I don't know if this fits into this situation actually, but did you also see this picture of this circle that is like very fastly drawn, and it says like, if you just draw it, you can perfect it later, kind of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think also there's a way to make anything perfect in this, especially when you launching your own stuff.
Yeah.
You're
and
so
it needs
critical.
to exist
Yeah,
you work so much on something that might not work in the end.
Exactly, because you also will never know if it's going to work until you put it out there. And then you have to adjust. And that's also part of the entire, it's part of the deal that you're signing up for, kind of.
And I feel the same about the podcast, for example. I'm like, I didn't train for this. I didn't take classes for this or whatever. It's going to look the way it's going to look. And I'm going to be grateful because it means that the next one and the next one is going to get better and better and better. Because I'm getting feedbacks every time. I'm training every time. I'm listening to myself again. And I'm like, next time don't do this.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, otherwise, how do you learn? I mean, I've never run a company. I have no idea how to do it. And but I also have to trust my capacities in like all of the experience I have. And same for you. Like, you know that like what you're doing now, you have so much also experience, like both from life and also like your social skills, and you have so many of the traits that is needed to run a good podcast. So just to trust that, and just trusting that like you're doing, and be like, I think that also differentiates when you think about success, like successful people and whatever. I don't know. I mean,
we're consuming a lot of
yeah, but exactly the thing that differentiates them, like when you're always like, oh, they have all of this. Actually, I think it's just they just did it.
Yeah,
they didn't wait. They didn't do it perfectly, but they did it because that's how you learn.
Something that I want to know is like, I want you to walk me a bit to your day to day as a CEO. Like, how do you start your morning, or like how does your day look like? When do you work? I kind of also, I think it was very interesting when you also said that you didn't know how to run a company, and I kind of want to know if you learn by yourself. I mean, like, I'm putting two questions at the same time, but maybe that's coming like your daily routine that you did every day to come to that point now. But can you walk me through a bit?
Just okay, since also it's a very small company. so far. But we also work with like an extensive freelance network. So that's also
Okay.
kind of part of the business model. So it's so that we can both work with like very like small, like more like strategic advising kind of assignments, but also like scale up to work on these like really big campaigns.
Yeah.
So it's making us very agile because this industry right now requires a very big amount of competences that are impossible to have internally necessarily. So this business model is also quite different from at least how I've seen other agencies operate.
You came up with this because of the needs, or you knew already that this is how you wanted to operate it, and you looked for project that needed like a like big 360 campaigns, and then you were like, okay, we're gonna be able to provide because
Yeah, it came from a frustration because I was in the client side. So I've been in the agency side, consultant, in-house. So I saw the frustrations and I kind of took them and was like, how would I solve that? So that's what the business model came from because I was like, I worked with really big agencies and I mean, they can be amazing in a lot of things, but I always felt like there was like an overhead of hours. It was extremely expensive. They also put like quite a lot of generalists, which makes sense if you have a big agencies because you need to be able to do many things on certain subjects that would require specialists.
Yeah.
So I was like, how can you, like in the core? So like me and Katja, for example, are like we're very like we're quite generalists, but like in like specialists in our area, but we're also generalists. Like our strength is that we know that what kind of team we need to put together. So we were like, that's actually what is needed for a core. But the specialist roles we need to be able to attain depending on the project, and every project is quite different actually, especially nowadays. So the idea came from that I felt like actually I only need one person on this. So why is there 10 people coming from the agency costing me this amount of money? Or and also like on the other hand, like when certain competences came, I'm like, but this we don't need. We need that competence, you know? So I also felt like there was this gap where we could be a much more agile part. Also, with the industry moving so fast, it's very difficult to hire the right people necessarily because the people that you need differ all the time.
Yeah.
So that was also like, it's also a way to.
That's so smart, actually.
Let's see. I mean, we're still testing this theory,
And
but I think that's where it came from, at least.
you didn't know the freelancers, you found them on the way, or
I mean, I have quite an extensive network since before, but and then also Katja's network is complementing that. So we really put it together, but then we're continuously, looking exactly. So that's how it started. But my day, it differs so much from day to day. But I work a lot right now. So, I mean, I'm not a morning person, but I try to get up at like maybe 7, 8. I wish I could go up, like be this kind of person who goes up at 5. But
I mean, this is
I
already
cannot.
nice. 7 is already good.
That's a good. Might have oversold it a bit. I would say 8.
I thought you would say like 9.
No.
See, you're a
No.
morning person. Then.
No, but this is a struggle every morning. I'm like, I'm dying every morning, but I also have the dog I have to walk in.
Yeah.
But
That helps actually probably with
yeah,
discipline.
actually, that's really good to go out with him. I heard also this is very good to go out and get like some sunlight. But my days look so different since I'm operating so many different roles in one. So it can be that like 1 hour I'm sitting in a pitch meeting with a potential client. Next hour I'm working operative with like client work. So like drafting a press release. And then the hour next, I'm working with Katja on a social media post, and then a quick lunch, and then I'm going into like 4 meetings in a row with like introduction meetings or like an interview with a talent or something like this, and then I come back to I don't know, more like operational client work, like maybe sitting with an advising a client on like ways they should take in their communication. But then I always try to take I have these natural breaks because of Tib, the dog. So I always have to go out somehow, which is good because otherwise sometimes I wouldn't go out.
That's a crazy reason, but at the same time, it feels exciting. I don't know if you're romanticizing it.
Yeah. It is it is. And then usually in the evenings, I'm trying to structure my days like this. Like the AM is when I'm most productive.
Yeah.
So then I'm trying to really do this more heavy strategic work. For example, if I have to also if I have to produce something like writing or something, I try to do everything like this in the morning. Or in the AM, and then afternoons I'm trying to do maybe interviews. It doesn't require as much of my insane focus. Then it's more light, So for example, meetings or these kind of work, or responding to emails or whatever it is, or social media or something like that. And then in the evenings, I get a new focus mode again. So then I can sit because then I can sit usually multiple hours straight without getting disturbed.
Yeah.
So then I might sit on pitch decks or sometimes also leads, if reaching out to people, stuff like this, depending on how tired or energized I am.
That's great. I feel like also there's this sense in the morning of routine and the evening is the same. But I always feel I always felt like the afternoon were chaotic and also the most spiraling moment as well. They're just so random.
Yeah.
I can never predict.
Yeah, exactly. And I try to. Now I've been quite bad with my workout schedule, but I try to put the workouts in the afternoon. So this is also the best thing about being your own boss. You can completely adapt your schedule to what fits you and your lifestyle.
And you said overbooked class, overbooked gym.
No, exactly. I hate to go to the gym in the evening, for example, because I am also this what I've learned is I need this. I'm not the best at just jumping in and do something quickly. I can. I've learned, but usually my tasks require that I have focus time. So not always, but I have a lot of things I can just do ad hoc. But most of the things I need to sit very focused. So then I cannot have I try to always, for example, put my meetings next so that I don't have a meeting 1 hour, a meeting one. This drives me insane because then I feel I can't get anything done.
Yeah.
So and that's why also I try to put my least heavy work in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And also work out and blah 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 because I realized also in the evening I'm more productive actually than I am in the afternoon. So then if even if I have to go grocery shopping or whatever, I also have to do some stuff that it's not work. Then I try to do it in the afternoon.
That makes sense. In so many ways.
But I'm also an insane. Sorry for interrupting.
No.
I'm you can ask Katja. I'm to an extent that is a bit disgusting. I'm getting self-disgusted. I chase efficiency in a way that is disgusting. I can never do, especially with work, but also anything. If I, for example, going to the workout, I make sure that on the way I'm picking up a package, I go to the workout, and on the way back, I'm gonna do the grocery shopping, and I'm gonna plan the route so that I lose as little time as possible. So I'm maybe this is normal, but or I plan my meetings and the location of my meetings based on if I have an errand on the way and stuff like this. So I'm trying to optimize every single second of my life, honestly. So even now, I was planning my day because I knew I was coming to you at 6. And then I was okay, I'm gonna do the meeting with over the phone because then I can walk to you. So my time is getting more efficient.
Yeah.
And stuff like this, I'm doing to an I think at least, if you ask Katja, she's going to be it's...
and you don't like this about yourself, or you feel like it's...
No, I like it because I'm trying to maximize time, but it can also disgust me because it goes to a level which is I can barely not do things if I don't feel like it's... for example, I can be obsessed. If Katja is okay, but do you want to come here at this time? I'm No, I cannot come that time. I mean, I'm very adaptable, but since I'm so particular with my time, especially now, it's like, for example, if me and Katya are gonna work somewhere, I need to make sure that I'm going there either at this time or that time, because that's the time when team has to go out. In between, then I waste time. I become like this obsessive with efficiency, which I don't necessarily like about myself, but also is how I'm getting so much done also. But I can really get self-disgusted by
I
this.
do feel like a lot of person would take this as like a new way of thinking of how they can optimize their time and being more efficient. But I'm really like also surprised, not surprised in a bad way, but like, do you ever feel like that you're procrastinating, or like that you cannot get shit done, or what's the
Not really. I'm not a procrastinator.
How does that work?
I
Just the magic.
I mean, or I can procrastinate, but not really. Like I would say that's one of my superpowers. I'm extremely good at prioritization.
What's your thought process when you have to do something, for example? Because I would say that a lot of people, probably me included, is like, if I have to do something, then I think of the work in between that get me to a point. And I know that a lot of techniques are like, think about the end result and then it's going to get easier or whatever. But for me, it's really like, I get overwhelmed by knowing all the things that I have to do. So I might end up doing something else because I feel so overwhelmed that I need to regulate before I even start. And then I start in panic. And then I do things at last minute, for example.
That's a good question. How I never thought about how I think about it, but I don't think necessarily about the end product. I think because then I get stressed, because then I think about the work that requires. Sometimes, of course, I mean, I can also get super stressed by certain tasks, like, and especially if I start thinking about the work it will require, I can spiral. But then what I try to do, it's not that easy, easier said than done, but I try to just start without the plan always. Or like, for example, if I have to do a big presentation that I know is like gonna take an insane amount of work, it can stress me like crazy. And then I'm just like, okay, I know what I need to do to start, because, for example, I can't start without doing the research. So then I just start there, and trying to just like, I usually, for my tests, I usually have to gather a lot of information first, and then I have to kind of distill them into something. But I don't know if this answers the question. I think I just like try to really not overthink. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put 3 hours just to this task. You know the Pomodoro technique? Yeah. So this
It helps so much.
It helps so much. Honestly, I mean, I should do shorter spans of Pomodoro, because sometimes I do like really too long.
3 hours?
Yeah.
5 minutes break.
Yeah, kind of. But to just like, without trying not to think too much about exactly how you're gonna do it, or exactly what you have to perform, because that will stress me the fuck out. So more be like, okay, put like, now I'm just gonna work on this, and I'm just gonna start somewhere. It doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of my work is also like writing. So instead of trying to formulate things perfectly, I just start write random shit that comes to my head. Because I don't know if this answers your question.
It answers my question a lot. And I think at the same time, I'm just realizing that you're actually probably also doing something you really like doing.
Yeah.
So that makes it easy to start.
But this also, I do a lot of stuff that I hate. Honestly, I have to admit, like, for example, everything connected to like finance, legal, I hate it so much. But sometimes I'm also like thinking that the thing I hate the most, I want to get done the fastest, because then I can focus on what I actually want to do. But I also have this prioritization system that, I mean, is a bit weird, but there's two prioritization systems I have. One is like, um, I call it like gunshot. It's the highest priority, is because in all of my previous work we had always priority one. Everything is priority one. So then it's like, within priority one, then how do we prioritize? Because if you can prioritize, and if you are like following the prioritization, for me at least, it gets easier to not procrastinate.
Yeah.
Because then it's basically me saying like, you have taken a decision now that this is your highest priority. So then you cannot make it legitimate. Legit. That you do anything else. So
Yeah.
I have like highest priority is a gunshot. It's basically like someone has a gun. Okay, this is not so politically correct. Someone has a gun to your head. You have to drop everything and do now. That's like biggest priority. Then I have a burning building. So it's like you can grab your closest belongings and get out, but you have to like act quite fast. And then I have the tsunami, which is like, okay, this is so not politically correct. I used this in every team I worked in also. But then you, I mean, it's all of these scenarios is horrible, but then you can grab everything maybe you have on the beach and get out if you see it ahead of times.
Mhm.
And then I have the roulette, which is basically like, it could be any of them, but right now you don't know. Like it could be, for example, a client is going to come back with a feedback and then you have to drop everything. But it could also never be, it could also not be a feedback. So I use this prioritization system in my head.
That's actually such a good advice. I'm gonna keep it.
Because for me, it's like, priority one. I had to have this kind of visual image for myself. So I'm like, if I have a gunshot priority, I cannot with ease not like do something else. I just have to do it no matter what, and I have to dedicate it no matter how much I hate it. I just have to do it. So so then I just block time and try to do it. So, and I also don't, as you said, try to think too much on how much it will require. I'm just like, just start, because usually the worst part is starting. It's the same with workouts actually. Like if you just show up, you're gonna do it. It's a bit the same mindset, I think.
It's true. I think, especially for sport, I think for me, the easiest was to start booking my class because I'm like, you cannot go back. Like it's, and I remember Celia telling me when she saw like I booked 2 weeks in advance my Pilates class, she was like, oh, you really like having a gun to your head, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I feel like, yeah, but other than that, like if I don't
I also
do
block time in my calendar, speaking of.
for me, sometimes I'm like, it doesn't mean anything, the time in my calendar, but like booking, signing up, really makes a difference. And then I always showed up, and then that made me consistent. And like, I wasn't the person who was doing that, but then I became the person.
Yeah. I think that too, honestly. And instead of, I mean, as I said, it's easier said than done. And of course, I sometimes procrastinate, but very rarely the things that actually matter. Because I also within this. I mean, there's another prioritization system. I mean, I'm like a bit obsessed with this. It's about like kind of like high impact, high effort, high impact, low effort, low impact, high effort, low impact, low effort. And these like four, it's like if you have like a paper and you basically do 4 boxes. And when you get stressed, a lot of people end up doing low impact, low effort tasks because you are like boosting your dopamine system.
Yeah,
like
I mean, you get the
you get like exactly to shake things off. So it's like feeling very rewarding. But especially since like, I mean, even before, but especially now when I running a company, I have to focus on high impact tasks all the time, because I mean, it's my livelihood, it's like, and it's up to me if I'm going to make money, if we talk about that, but also if the company is going to get successful. So to also have this, like, even if I hate it, it's annoying or something, I'm like, if I'm having a bad time, sometimes you have the bad time, at least then I do low effort, high impact tasks.
Yeah.
For example, reaching out to people on LinkedIn that I want to meet.
Yeah.
That's like very low effort, but it can have a high impact. And then when I have a good like time, then I try to, like when I have this, for example, mornings, I really try to focus on always high impact, high effort. Because I mean, it has to get done at some point.
Something that like really helps me, for example, like for the podcast or for making sure I push through or I
Mm.
actually get things done is involving someone else.
Yeah, that's also really good.
So for me, knowing that I booked this time with you, even if it's a Friday evening,
yeah.
I was like, I cannot flake on Michelle. That's
Yeah,
impossible.
yeah,
So
yeah.
her time is precious.
Mm.
And we booked that time and I'm going to commit even though I'm not 100% sure I feel ready or whatever. I was like, you know what? If you don't push through like the
Yeah.
anxiety, the fear, the procrastination, you're never going to get things done basically. And I think always, that's why also booking a class or whatever is like you involve
exactly.
someone else
That's really good
in
actually.
your,
Yeah,
but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to do things alone.
yeah,
And that's when it's more challenging. But in the end, you can always find someone to,
yeah. And I think also this is something, I mean, this is a bit on like a more higher level, not on like the daily task level, but finding a why. I know this is a bit like this, but finding why you're doing something. It's
Yeah.
also like the motivation. If you cannot rely on what you said now, for example, I think it's really good, as you said, involving someone else. And I also do that with Katya now, for example, which is really good. You know, you keep each other accountable, kind of. But if you find yourself like a very specific why you're doing something and where you're going,
yeah,
then
I've heard this as well.
yeah, then it's going to be easier to also motivate yourself and to do it. Because I mean, it's the same with workout. I mean, then as you said, it's also about getting the routine. But for example, for me, I'm like, I want to build an empire. You know, this is what I want to do. And then I cannot flake. You know, it's only up to me if I'm going to succeed or not. So since I have this kind of why I want to do it, like I want to be financially independent someday.
Yeah.
Like,
And also, I think we both relate on the fact that we don't have a security net.
yeah, this too.
So if you,
if there's no option to fail. So, but also even finding this why in any other thing, like for example, with your podcast, it could, like if you have this clear why are you doing this, it doesn't have to have anything to do with finances either. But I mean, it could also be like creating a legacy or like I want to evolve my person. I want to evolve in my personal self or like grow as a individual or like work on my social skills. I don't know what it could be, but like
I mean, for sure, like I can see that like the why I have for my podcast are very different from the why I have at work, for example.
yeah.
I mean, I know that some of the why with my work are like paying the bills or like making me like safe in so many ways. But for my podcast, it's like I know so many good people and I want to share and I want to connect and I want to learn. Like I don't think we have the occasion to talk about everything all the time.
So true.
And especially this subject. And if I kind of know what you're doing, I think we never really ask our friend what they're doing.
No,
when
I
they
know.
do
I love
things.
that though. With I love that though with our group because it's so not focused on work.
I mean, this is beautiful. And
But
so
also-
many ways, everyone is so high achiever and doing amazing jobs and like they're earning their life in like, it's insane, like whatever everyone is doing. But like, we never really talk about it. And at the same time, sometimes we don't go into deep subject either, you know? And I think as soon as I get a glimpse of someone, I kind of, I'm like, there's so many people who could benefit from this conversation. And I want to share that.
I love that.
Like, I want to be, you know, the person who carry like whatever you're doing right now. I think it's amazing. I admire you so much. And I also know that I relate so much on how you're feeling inside and everything. And I think this is so valuable. Like this is for me, like when you talk, I'm like listening and I'm like, that's gold. But it's real. And I mean, I had conversation with other people who are starting their businesses or dealt with anxiety and work and everything. And I think they all have different way of working and different conversation, but there's also so many things that like matches.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I think for a lot of time, I always thought I would be great at connecting people without putting me first. But I think I'm slowly getting to find my role also in my space, you know?
Yeah, because
like,
you're also like creating this like safe environment. Like we had before, even we started this episode, we had another conversation that was I just told you, like I had the most anxious week ever. And then I talked to you for like an hour and it was the first time this week I felt light. So like you have this skill also. So like,
so happy you're saying that. Really.
No, but so like you doing this, I think is so good. And I think I really
both
admire the courage also.
You're so kind.
No,
but I think we're both trying to be the person we were looking for at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
and who we want to look up to.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And as we said, you can become anyone. That's where we actually stopped the conversation before, because like you can really become whoever you want to be.
Mhm.
That's really my theory, and I think
Yeah.
yours too. That's what we started talking about. That if you want to become, like as we said, this like confident and proactive, not
Mhm.
procrastinating or whatever it is, person who's working out every morning, you can do that. Like, so even if I just said before, I'm not a morning person, but I know I can become a morning person if I really put
There's-
work into it.
I do.
Yeah,
I think really the habits we're taking. I mean, we're not talking right now about if you have kids, if you have mental health problem, and all of those things that like kind of pile up, and then there's really reasons for why you don't. I don't know, cannot go to sports or cannot move, whatever it is, financial reason. I think there's a lot of people who wish they could do things and then they don't end up doing it. But let's talk about us. I'd say I see in so many ways how I change over the years, like showing up for things I never thought I would be able to. And at the same time, I'm thinking, if I want to become the person that I'm keep seeking in my head, that I keep being so drawn to be and everything, there's so many ways for me to do it by just thinking differently than I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm so caught up in fears and anxiety, and that's what we talked about. It's like you don't think you have control over the things you have control over, because we are so focused on all the things we cannot control sometimes that we get lost completely and frozen and unable to move
That's so
into
true.
ways we want to do.
Yeah.
That
So
is true.
true.
And what was your learning on this? Like, where did you get all you were telling me about a book that you were reading?
Yeah, exactly. So I was actually, Katja gave me this book. Of course, Katja with the books. But it's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And I mean, even prior to this, I was like reading a lot about the subject, but I just started reading this book not too long ago, and it reminded me a lot about things that I was like, oh yeah, right. You know, I mean, because I always thought like you can become whoever you want. I mean, as long as you put work into it. That's why, like from early age, I was like always pushing myself. I knew, for example, that I wanted to be able to go to any uni ever. So I was like, I need to have straight A's. So I was like, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. I thought I wanted to be an architect, but I knew that if I give myself the circumstances to, then I can do whatever I want, kind of this mentality. But this book is about, it's like, it's basically similar to religion, which is like interesting, but it's based on a more scientific base. So it's like, if you tell yourself something, like it's like your subconscious, you have the consciousness who's like, is the, how do you say, understands like right and wrong, or like actually rather taking decision on what's right and wrong, while your subconscious cannot tell the difference between what is good or bad, or right and wrong, or true or false. It just accepts what your conscious mind is telling your subconscious.
And looking for validation.
Exactly, yeah. So if your conscious mind tells you, for example, I cannot afford this, I could not do this, your subconscious is gonna accept that as the truth. And it's gonna continue putting you or keeping you in a situation where you are not capable and you don't afford this. While, like the theory says, if you do the opposite, so saying, I am worthy, I am capable, I am confident, and like it's a bit this like fake it till you make it theory, then your subconscious is equally gonna also accept that as a truth and find yourself like in situations where opportunities are going to rise. So for example, it's like a lot of this like manifestation and affirmation and why that works. I'm absolutely not an expert on this subject.
I love also how we're afraid of saying quote.
Yeah, exactly. But you're so scared of saying the wrong things. But this book really like reminded me about this thing from a more like also scientific point of view of like how the nervous system works, I studied actually brain science at some point for a
Really?
bit. Yeah, also of course.
Like, let me just check.
No, but so I just found that like a really good reminder and currently recommend it. Because if you tell yourself over and over again something, at some point you're gonna believe in it.
Yeah.
Kind of. And
Same
if you
with the other-
believe it, and the same with the opposite, if you tell yourself like, I cannot afford this, instead of saying like, I will afford this, then you're gonna find ways to afford. Like
Yeah.
a bit what we talked about spending,
Yeah.
you know, which I don't promote
I
necessarily.
can afford this.
Yeah, I can afford this. Like spending as if you were.
But it's also this I have this sometimes, and I had this a lot growing up as well, is like, and Celia always used it to make me do shit, but like she's always like, oh my god, you're so good at this. And then every fucking time it unlocks something in me that I'm like, yeah, actually I can.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why like there's so much stuff that I didn't know I would be able to do, but because someone kind of confirms it, I'm like, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
And like
yeah.
Celia was making fun of, like she was just making fun of me with this. She was like, oh, you're so good at like talking with people in this bar and introducing.
Oh my god, I love
Because I was like, actually, I'm so good. And then I believed in it so much that I'd like,
Did
I
you?
never like
Yeah. You're also a big
flake, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
Exactly.
I'm so good at it.
Exactly.
And same with like when people keep telling me, oh, you're so good socially, you're like to talk with people.
like,
And
yeah.
I'm like, now it's my skill and I
Yeah.
have to believe in it because otherwise I have nothing. So
Exactly. What else to have? Yeah,
No,
it's the
but-
same with everything. Like, I mean, in the beginning, I told you, we talked a bit about it before. Like, for example, with confidence.
Mhm.
I mean, I've always like believed in myself in somehow. Like, it's really the difference between worth. How do you say self-worth versus oh, sorry, the microphone. I was like, what is this little weird thing on my? Like how do you say in Swedish? You have like something called like when you feel self-worth versus self-confidence, kind of. Is that
I would say
something?
self-esteem,
Self-esteem, yes.
maybe, and then confidence.
Yeah, probably. And like, I think I didn't have a good self-esteem, but I always had good confidence. But my confidence showed up in ways that not necessarily something like, or not always, but I don't know. I feel like because I also told myself always, I can do this. I can do whatever. I can do anything.
That's crazy that this, like, where do you think this came from? Actually?
I have no idea where this came from. But I mean,
did you had any example that you saw early on, or anyone you looked up to, or any celebrities, or
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if it was where it came from. I mean,
maybe just from your own making.
I don't know.
You're
Because
just
the
like-
self-esteem was not big. I mean, I told you, I think I put my self-worth in my performance.
Yeah.
Which is like why like a huge part of my anxiety has been connected to performance.
Mhm.
Not only, like I have also a lot of other anxiety issues, as I said, like phobia, panic attacks, general anxiety disorder. A lot started with kind of with performative anxiety.
And you got curious about all of this, and you went to get diagnosed, actually.
Actually, I got because I had so much anxiety when I was young. I had to go to, it was this child psychologist I went to the first time. That because I had always this like super high intense like manic periods, you could say, and then I went like completely down and was like super dark. So they wanted to diagnose me, or like not diagnose, how do you say, investigate. That sounds so detective.
Let's use that.
For bipolar disease, but and then they said they wanted to try medication. I refused because I was like, no, I need my manic phases. I cannot live without them. That's me. It's what it was my identity. I was like, I'm a high achiever. I'm a performer, and this is part. This is when I perform. So that started when I was 11, actually, and then it came back a couple of other times. This bipolar question mark. I still haven't been diagnosed officially because every time I abrupted the investigation. But then, I mean, I also came into with diagnosis with general anxiety disorder. Because I mean, at some point, my anxiety got so bad that I had a burnout because I pushed myself to a limit. And I was also this person who was like, burnout. I could never get a burnout. That would never happen to me. I'm like, I have so much energy. I was like, I'm so persistent. I can go on forever. And then all of a sudden I couldn't move anymore. So I was literally, I could not move my body. And I was gone for almost a year, I think.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk without, I was literally falling when I was walking.
That's a year is insane. When
Yeah.
was that?
2019, I think. Something.
Okay.
Or maybe earlier, 18. So quite some years ago. But I learned a lot also from this. I mean, it changed a lot. But it was really based on my anxiety. It got so intense. I got so many panic attacks and I was anxious about everything. I saw, like, wherever I went, I always saw the worst possible scenario, like that. I and I got these like almost like OCD behavior because I was like, I don't walk here on the street because then things can fall from the balconies. It's like it's eating your brain basically to a point where my brain was so exhausted of the anxiety and stress that I couldn't stand up anymore. And I was never thinking that I was really one of these people before that happened to me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I got so much more respect for everything because I always kind of used my anxiety to grow in my career.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, there's more to life than work, or there's more to
Okay.
life than performance.
But how did you come out of it? Or like on the other side, what helped you or what was the journey for this?
I mean, I'm still working on it, honestly. I get much easily triggered. I know I said in the beginning I work a lot, which I do, but I mean now I also work more under my own terms. So it feels different. But during that time I went to cognitive behavioral therapy, I got a lot of tools. But I mean, for me, it was really like questioning my entire identity. Like, who am I without my performance? Like, speaking of this, like my whole life, I was living on me being a performative high achiever, and all of a sudden, I couldn't move. I couldn't even go out. For me, a performative task was going to grocery shop. It took me maybe a month before I could do that because I was destroyed. Like I had really destroyed my brain capacity, my body, like everything.
Did you get some help at that time or were you
Then I
alone?
started with medications. Because I didn't have a choice anymore. I was really against.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know how I would do that without it because my anxiety was so high that I said I couldn't function.
Did it like help quiet your brain or?
Yeah, it did, but it also made me quite numb. I mean, at that point, I was the only way. And I went on those pills for a long time, which like 7 years, I think I went on that. So I actually quit not too long ago, which is crazy. I never thought I would go so long also. But I mean, it was my only way out, I felt like at that point.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I wouldn't
yeah.
have gone there. But then that together with cognitive behavioral therapy, and I mean, I had like a support system from like friends and
Yeah.
family.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know how I got into this, but
That's very different, I think, when also things are happening in your head, even though you have people around you, people talking to you, people trying to get you out of it, to believe something different.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, it took me a lot. I mean, I don't know when exactly it shifted because from like in terms of like not identifying yourself with your work and your
Yeah.
performance, that I don't know when that shifted necessarily. But I mean, I still feel like it's a very important part for myself of my identity. And I actually have to work on that not being my entire identity sometimes. Like it's not, and I know that now, but because I know how it can end up and it's not pretty.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I take actually a lot of pride, which sometimes I can be like shameful about because it's not necessarily how you want to. I don't talk necessarily so much about my work, I think, but it's like a pride in me that could not accept sometimes that I would not be a high achiever.
Yeah.
But after that, I was more like, you know what? I can. That's after that actually is when I moved to Berlin the first time, and I took a job that was like not as like not
Stressful
not
and
in line with my career plan necessarily. I moved because I wanted to move.
Yeah.
For me, basically. So I mean, it was a really tough time, but it taught me a lot about like life. And but I mean, I'm still sometimes like, could I just quit and do? But I think I could now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now you can see in yourself also other other things that makes you
Yeah. I feel like I learned so much about myself during that time and about like what I value, what I like, what I consist of, and like my self-worth and self-love and stuff like that. But I mean, it's something I work on continuously.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to take an entire lifetime.
I mean, it's crazy how we sometimes treat ourselves as like project or like things to like as if every area of our life had to be better always for us to be worthy.
Yeah.
And worthy to be loved by other people and worthy to be seen
exactly.
and worthy to exist here.
Yeah.
But like you as a person, you're beautiful inside and out, and to just be around you is enough. If you didn't have a job, I would think the same about you.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I do admire everything that you do, of course.
Thanks.
But I think you have so many other qualities and values. And I think, I mean, it's hard to see that in ourselves when you also don't get praised for basic stuff, you know, like especially when you grow up like being praised and thinking that the grades that you got like are things that you value and everything. Like it's very hard to then as an adult to try to see that in other area.
For sure. And I feel like I really can like I mean, as I said, like I feel like it's important for me still like what I do in my work, but it's not my entire identity. I can really like, but before it was really my entire, I would really value myself depending on how it went, which was why if, for example, something didn't go so well, it felt like I was failing miserably. While now I feel, I don't know exactly, as I said, the shift, but I'm more confident in failing because I don't put my entire self-worth into it.
You have your eggs in multiple.
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
dog mom.
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
girlfriend.
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
friend.
Yeah, but also even without all of those things,
Yeah.
as you said, like if you just put everything away, I would still feel like, okay, but I'm me and exactly, which is a huge journey.
Beautiful. I do feel like also the 20s in general are very tough to navigate because you can be at so many point in your life, even your 30s, but I do feel like maybe ease up.
Maybe actually, yes.
I would love for you to maybe give some advice if anyone is listening to this and want to start like an agency or their own project. What would you think it's like just step one? You know?
Yes, step one is start.
It's
no, but honestly, like that's my biggest learning. What we talked about also previously. Don't overthink. Just start anywhere. Don't be a perfectionist. You can fail over and over again. The faster you start, the faster you'll fail, the faster you'll learn, and the faster you will succeed. That would be my like biggest advice. And ask for help. Like I have been the worst in my life at asking for help. I always, I don't know why, but I'm still like this in a lot of, yeah, because I always wanted to be independent and
you think like it devalue your knowledge or your
exactly.
worth.
But actually, it's the opposite. Like people who ask for help are usually the most senior people in my experience. So like, and also admitting to things you can't do because then people are gonna be like, okay, but I can do that. I can help you. And then instead of also speaking of anxiety, sitting there alone, trying to figure something out that you have no idea what and how to do, instead of just like, girl, like you know this, or like, do you know anyone who? I'm still working on becoming better at asking for help, but like now, when I was like, do you know anyone here, or like, do you know da da da? It's like usually doesn't necessarily like people also like usually to help, which you
100%.
usually forget, and even people you don't even know. can like, I mean, it's like I started reaching out to people just because I'm like, this person has a very interesting job. I would love to understand how that person is working. And I every single time learn something new. And these things I'm like, so really like just start. Don't question yourself too much. You can learn as you go. It sounds like a cliche and scary, but I mean, nothing is going to happen unless you start. That's also the thing. That's what's going to differentiate it from happening or not. Not that it's going to be the perfect thing. It's just doing stuff. Like, just do more and then really ask for help or reach out and be curious also. So like, I try to ask so many questions, like also from my clients and stuff. I'm trying to really understand like how their brain operates and also how their business operates. Because when I really understand this, that's how I'm going to deliver better results also. So that's also something I learned a lot, that instead of trying to be like, I know everything, I can do everything, or like trying to prove yourself that way, actually like some of the best people I worked with, also the most junior ones, are the ones who ask a lot of questions. So like,
such a good advice. And actually, one of my best friends also said that. He was like, if people succeed, they will be so willing to give you the keys because they wish they had that back then as well.
exactly.
And they're so like open to communicate, to talk, to say how they succeed and what they failed
100%,
at, and tell you the fast pace, like the fast path to do things.
And also the people don't see like if you fail or questions as weaknesses, it's actually a strength, because the the coolest people are the ones who say like, yeah, you know, I fucked up, in my opinion at least. You know, like you won't judge them and say like, okay, they were not good at their job or they didn't do this or that. You would be like, okay, they're so ballsy. They you know, I always admire that, and I think that's like a lot of people do. The ones that doesn't, I don't know them. But like,
I mean, I felt the same. Like when you came in today and we talked before, I was like, you being so vulnerable with me right now. And I just valued this as like strength. I was like, it made me open up as well. I was like,
same for you. I mean, everything, that's the thing. Like what you're saying now, if you feel like someone is vulnerable and like, I don't get it, I don't know what to do, even if they come to you like this, in panic, like I did kind of, then okay, I can also be vulnerable.
Yeah, I can be vulnerable. I'm valuing this as a strength. And you actually, like, it was the best icebreaker. Today, even. I mean, even if like we talked a lot and everything, I think it's always like, to get into some subject, sometimes it feels a bit like cold or like rushed or anything. And like, I don't know, I just felt very comfortable straight away to be like, okay.
Yeah, same. But in the middle of the conversation, we're like, okay, now we should stop talking here because now we should start recording, because actually this,
because we were like, this could have been a
this could have been a podcast.
I love the title for this.
Yeah,
I think this is really what, like, I just want to connect people with each other and make them feel less alone as well. I always felt like the way I was thinking, the way I was like perceiving things and everything in so many ways, I was the only one feeling those things. Like, I was for sure like, everyone is functioning, everyone is getting up in the morning, everyone is like, and then I was so grateful for all the knowledge we have nowadays, with books, with videos, with everything, for me to be like, there's other people. And I was very scared at the beginning to even look for things. Like, I'm not someone who would put her symptom on the internet and wait for an answer. I wasn't even using ChatGPT for a long time because I was like, I don't want to know too much. And sometimes I don't even ask questions because I'm, and then I realized it's the opposite that I should do. And now I'm like as you said, even for like starting anything, but like really in your personal life, get curious, ask the questions, because then it leads you to better places because you know more. And I used to be like, no, ignorance is bliss, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
It's the anxious part that talks. When you think that way. And I think it's like,
I mean, I can also be like this for sure, especially in like private matters or like personal matters, for sure. Like I just try to, I don't want to open that door because I'm like, no, it's gonna be a demon.
I mean, I have this so much in like so many relationships, could be with coworker, with friends, or like romantic. It's like, if I open the door, sometimes I'm scared of what's behind. And I think I make a mountain of it. And then
And then you
sometimes,
open it.
yeah, and you see that it's so small. And it's so,
exactly.
like, it's crazy because I think that's how anxiety works in the end. And what will lead me also to another question about anxiety, but like, you're like, I want to know also, how is it to be like a CEO and to be functional when you have anxiety?
I love that.
Because to be honest,
To be fun.
like, I'm working, and then whenever I feel anxious, could be because of work or not because of work, I see myself like frozen sometimes. And like doing other stuff like doom scrolling or doing nothing. And then I'm like, I could have went outside, I could have reached out to a friend, I could have like, there's so many things I could have done.
Yeah.
But like, the thoughts that I'm having right now, I'm like blocking me from doing anything. And I'm like, how can you be a CEO? How can you have your agency
I love you with
and being
this.
functional?
Oh,
You know?
I think like that's super normal, that what you're saying, like that you can freeze and not knowing what the hell to do, and you get so much anxiety. I feel like my anxiety is usually the opposite. The more anxious I am, the more stuff I do. Because my problem is more that I cannot relax. So I push myself to a limit where I'm like, smash. So, I mean, that can be seen as like, oh, you get so much done. But like, I mean, I think this is also quite normal that, depending on what kind of anxiety, I guess, I don't know. The more anxious I am, the cleaner it is at home, for example, because I have to be productive. So I can get these frozen periods as well, but usually my anxiety plays out the opposite way. So like, but it can be that I kind of, what you say, procrastinate, but then I do something else instead. So my anxiety is like, then I put on more and more and more and more and more, and at some point it becomes unbearable, to a point which is like right now where I'm at, which is maybe not the best, but I know it's not necessarily a long-term thing. I have cut down on a lot of the things that I love in life because I have also committed to this path. So, which is a bit sad. Like, for example, I don't see my friends so often anymore. I don't, I've cut every hobby that I have. It sounds sad, but it's also an active choice. I'm like, yeah, it sounds super sad. I mean,
not necessarily sad, but like, it's more like, that's commitment and that's discipline.
Yeah,
at its best.
Yeah,
but in many ways,
but it's also because of, like for me, it's also mentioned many times, but like it's also because of financial stress. Like I don't have a plan B. So the thing what you said about if you would quit your job, would it make you push forward like more? Probably yes. Because at some point, like, I'm not saying you should quit your job, but I don't have a plan B. I don't, at some point, my savings account is is not there anymore, and I cannot get money from anywhere.
But it's also beautiful in a way, because I think you're really ambitious and you wouldn't just commit to a 9 to 5 just for security. You still want to.
That's also the thing. That's the thing, because honestly, for me, my dream life is a life of flexibility. And I realized that to get I mean, now I don't have any flexibility, lol. But I mean, it's
long term.
I'm thinking long term, which I never did before. Also, I only just like, I mean, I thought somehow long term in terms of like, I want to achieve this or that, but I was never like really planning for the future. While now I'm like, okay, I know that right now I'm gonna push myself. I'm gonna have to sacrifice things that are important for me. Like, as I said, like, I don't put any of my headspace into what I'm wearing, which I actually enjoy, but now I don't. And it frustrates me, but I'm like, stop
You
it.
look amazing.
I think.
Always.
No, but yeah, I'm like wearing the same things, stuff like this. Because I literally don't have the headspace. I don't see, unfortunately, as I said, so much of my friends. I I don't see my family as much. I mean, this is not necessarily sacrifices I would suggest anyone is doing, but for me, it's like, this is temporary. I know it. I just need to push through in this moment. So, but I'm constantly overwhelmed. And unfortunately, that leads to that I also don't have energy for so much other stuff. And it's also like questioning, like, am I doing the right thing? is this the right choice? Is that the right choice? But at the same time, like I have to operate so many things in one day in one way that's also good for overthinking, because I cannot overthink. I don't have time. I'm like, I didn't just need to be extremely executive.
But I'm wondering one thing: do you seek people around you who are exactly like you, or are you seeking like calmer people, or like people who?
That's a very also interesting question that I thought about quite recently, because I really believe that you become you become a product kind of who you are with. Not exactly, but
I agree.
but and I mean, different people can give you different things also. But I think I have quite a good mix of the people around me. So like, for example, my boyfriend is much more calm in these senses. He's much more like grounded. I mean, he's like very adventurous and like amazing, but he also makes me like, I can like breathe. I need that also in my life because I'm already so speeded. Like, how about you actually? Like, what?
I feel like I'm surrounding myself mostly with very independent people. I feel like I need this the most, and I need people to do their stuff, but also people who I admire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really, my closest people have their own stuff going on. They have their own businesses. Like it's when I look around, I'm so proud of them, and I'm always talking about them in a good way, and I'm always trying to connect them as well.
Yeah, that's so nice. But I mean, it's actually when like my closest friend, like best friend Emma, she's much more like safe. I don't know how to say, like she's always bringing peace to my life. So I also feel like I'm also trying, like she's also, of course, I admire her to death. But I realized that I also am kind of drawn to people that makes me feel peaceful. Like as I said with you also, and like with that's one of the things, for example, also with Emma, that I was like, so like when I'm around her, I don't feel like I have to perform. Maybe this actually, because I had to do that my entire life. So when I'm around people where I feel peaceful, I mean, still the energy. I mean, I'm an energetic person. I want that too, but like that I don't feel like I have to perform necessarily. It's like maybe that's more the red thread.
You see through their eyes that it's not for what you do, that they love you and like
yeah, exactly. And I mean, I don't think like necessarily all of other people. I think that I feel like my worth in other people is necessarily depending on what I do. It's always been actually from me. I've always been the only one putting pressure on myself, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's interesting what you're saying with like the people like, surround, but because having people that you admire around you or like really have high respect for and stuff, I think is also very good.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel like sometimes, and I was trying to think about this a bit. It's like, who do I surround myself with, and how much respect I put on the people I meet? Because I don't want to do a hierarchy. I don't want to judge people too fast. I don't want to, but I can catch myself sometimes being like, if they're going to be dependent on me, I cannot take the responsibility.
Yeah, this is so true.
So I have a hard time dealing with people who need me in that sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
I want people who have their own lives, who are very capable of doing things on their own and don't rely on me so much. But I love to be in their lives, and like that we find a mutual kind of balance. But and I need people to be able to survive in a social context as well.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, this can be
and to
very
know what they
draining.
want. I really appreciate when people know what they want, and when they're very upfront with what they want. But I also I see myself changing and trying to go in that direction as well, more and more intensely. But there's a moment where I freeze when two people ask me at the same time, "What are you doing tonight?" And I'm like,
Yeah, no, but
You
this is so normal. I mean, like, I totally can understand this as well. I mean, in my private life, I can be much more like the things that you describe. It's just for some reason I've maybe because I practiced it for many years since I was very young. Also with this, when it comes to these more like performative things, I'm still learning every day, but I kind of found a way to operate the thing you said, me being functional and using my kind of anxiety to my benefit to achieve more, which is not necessarily healthy. But in my private life, I can definitely be more like, I can freeze and be like, become almost apathetic, or like I get like I don't know what to do or something like this.
How
So
would you say that your anxiety so in your personal life, like
I think, we talked a little bit about it before. For example, anxious attachment style, but also like I told you, I had this like general anxiety disorder. So like my natural state is anxious. But actually, since after I stopped with the medication for 7 years, it's not been as heavy. So which is amazing. I didn't think that was possible, because my general state before was always slightly anxious. And that means you're always like, no matter if it's work or like personal, as I said, like even seeing like, okay, I shouldn't go there because this can happen. Or I got like a lot of like, I had a lot of problems with panic attacks, as I said. And also I have multiple phobias still, which just like makes me avoid certain things, which grows anxiety even more and stuff like that. Like, I can laugh about my phobias because they're quite like ridiculous. For example, I'm super scared of birds, and I avoid.
a lot of people.
Yeah, I know, and it makes sense. They're fucking scary. But like, I avoid certain places and stuff because of this, and it's like a bit ridiculous. But these things also build upon this like general anxiety. But otherwise, everything from like, I feel like um it affects, for example, and when I'm anxious or stressed, I can also eat a lot. This is like, people can be opposite, like that they don't eat. I become like I can really like eat a lot.
And the opposite, actually, when I'm very anxious,
You don't eat, you can't eat.
but then that makes me more anxious.
Yeah,
Because
and it makes me more anxious to eat.
exactly.
It's because like I gain weight then, and then I get anxious for like for body image, and then it's a cycle of everything. So it's it shows up in every aspect of my life. But also, as I said, with relationships, it's like this fucking demon,
It's just waiting for you in the dark.
Yeah,
Just this crazy feeling of being so afraid of the unknown.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
not having the control. It's
exactly. And every time I think about it, I'm always like, everything you didn't predict ended up being the most beautiful things in your life.
Yeah, 100% this.
And that's why it's beautiful to not know. If I knew now, maybe I'd be like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
go wrong for me to get there, whatever. It wouldn't be as fun, like.
Yeah, so true.
But it's easier to say it
Yeah, exactly.
and to when you're looping and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So much. And yeah, I totally agree. And as you said before, like trying to make that into like just accepting that whatever happens, you're gonna be able to deal with it. This is also like, it's required a lot of power.
Yeah. But I also think about when people are not anxious people, or at least they just deal with normal level of anxiety.
Yeah, like a situation-based anxiety.
Exactly. I feel like they're pretty good at being like, yeah, it doesn't work, I will stress then, which I would love to practice.
Yeah,
I would
same,
say.
same.
Like to deal with the consequences when it happens, and not to
Not
be
to,
constantly
yeah,
alert.
and also paint out a million scenarios so that you're prepared in case. Like only that fucking energy
like that you're ready.
consumption. Exactly. Always ready for everything. I swear, crazy
No, but
shit.
yeah. I would love to know though about anxiety, and we can close with this chapter of like how. So you're dealing with this for so long now.
Yeah.
And I want to know if you have any strategies, rituals, or anything that like kind of help.
Yeah, that's a good thing, good question that we also talked a little bit about before. But I think I mean, I hate this answer more than anything in life because that's the only thing that ever worked, unfortunately, is acceptance. It's my biggest weakness. I hate to accept things. I hate, like, especially things that I cannot control, like accept the fact that I can't control them and stuff like this. I'm a control freak deluxe. But it's
Sure, for
deluxe. But it's with anxiety. I mean, those who knows that the more you fight it, or the more like you act on it, the worse it gets. So what I said, for example, with like when I'm super anxious, I clean, or I'm productive as fuck. I don't take a break because that's making me feel better in the moment. But like when my anxiety was extremely bad, I therapist at that time said something like, okay, write down when you get these like insane anxiety. Actually, I'm gonna start doing this again. Write down what is the thought, what does it make you feel, and how are you acting on it. So, and like or like it could be like afterwards, because also just to learn your patterns, because it's a lot about understanding your patterns. So like the thing you said about not opening the door, it's like literally kicking up the door and be like, what am I thinking? And he was also always saying like, if you cannot necessarily always control your thoughts in the moment, but you can control your actions.
Yeah, the
So
reaction.
yeah, exactly. So just to making yourself conscious about what timings, like what thoughts are triggering what emotions and what actions are you taking, is already gonna lead you to understanding more about your anxiety and how you can work on it.
If you could give a message to someone who's listening right now and she's anxious, but like just want to do something with their life, what would be the one thing you would tell them?
Oh, I feel like really realizing that anxiety is just part of like your brain and not the actual reality, or like part of your body. And sometimes I'm trying to say that my anxiety is fake. Like not fake, but it's like it's only me. It's like it doesn't define anything else in the world. No one around me knows about my anxiety except for me. And sometimes that puts it for me in perspective and makes it feel like, but like to summarize, I would really say like, if you don't have anxiety that is really taunting you to a place where you cannot physically act, for example, or where you really need like professional help, I would try to really see your anxiety as like, this is only in your mind and body. It's not going to hurt you. It's not visible necessarily for anyone outside. So the things you would do if you didn't have anxiety, try to do them anyways, even if it's so fucking scary, because it's the only thing that's gonna prove your anxiety wrong. Every time you avoid that certain thing, it's gonna grow it stronger and stronger and stronger. It's like, that's how it works. That's how you feed the anxiety. So, I mean, I'm doing the wrong thing with birds. I'm avoiding the places, which makes my anxiety or phobia bigger and bigger. That's the most ridiculous example, but it really is like this. There's a reason why cognitive behavioral therapy is a lot about like exposure.
Yeah.
The more you expose yourself to your fears and what you brings your anxiety, the less control is going to have above
I
you.
agree 100%. I think there's so many subjects that scared me back in the day or whatever. And what I did very recently actually was exposing myself to the topics that scared me. And I realized it's way easier to face them than the thought of having to face them. So it's a very good last word and advice for anyone who's listening. I'm gonna conclude by first of all saying thank you for this amazing, amazing conversation. You have no idea how much I've learned from you and in
Thank you.
general. I think I have so many
And
advice
same.
that I can take in my little purse and just go back to whenever.
Same,
I
girl.
want to give you the thank you so much. I want to give you the opportunity also to share your socials, or
Yay.
website, and everything. And I'm gonna also add them in the bio and everything, so everyone can go to you and check.
Ooh, I love it. And thank you so much for having me again. I love the podcast, and you obviously And I feel like I could talk for hours about everything with you. So, but yeah, my personal Instagram is Michelle Wilstrom, Wistrom. And then my company is Act, but all of our handles are Act Kiosk or actkiosks.com. AKT is Act, and then Act Kiosk, so KIOSK.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you,
It was so
Clary.
nice.
It was the best.
And I see you all very soon. Thank you so much for listening. Well, this really could have been a podcast, and I'm glad it is. Thanks for being here. I'll meet you in the next episode. You can follow me on Instagram at Declarin and on YouTube at This Could Have Been a Podcast to stay updated and keep the conversation going. And don't forget to follow me here too. Until then, bisous and take care.
I got Easter egg.